Hi guys, Long White Mane here again. This is a channel where if you can grow your hair down to your butt, you'll never have a bad hair day. Welcome with me, little Beady. Where'd he go? He's on the pillow back there, snuggled up. And he's got the whole bed. He's got a blanket he can go under, but he's got to mess up my pillow. Go figure. Sorry, my hair's not down. It's 34 freaking degrees outside, and because of menopause, I am just boiling. Just fun life, fun things. Also, on a sad note, I heard this morning that Billy Graham died, and he's earned his reward. He was an awesome guy, uh, a great loving heart, and he's earned his reward. And I'll leave it there. Excuse me a second. As you can see by the title, this video is about Marcus Cruz. Marcus, where did I get that? Nikolas Cruz and the atrocity he committed at the Marjorie Stoneham Douglas High School in Florida. I'm going to be I'm going to go as a timeline, and hopefully that'll be a logical thing where I can make sense in my head as to how things happened. The problem I do have is this: I cannot answer why. I don't know why. I don't even think he knows why. No one knows why. Okay. And that's why it's taken me so long to do this video, kind of holding back, waiting. Maybe he'll say a statement, maybe he'll, say something, but we'll never know exactly why. Now, Nicholas was not insane. He did not have a disconnect between his brain and the real world. How do I know that? Because of the way he got out. What he did, and I think y'all already know this, what he did was he drops his weapon and he drops the sack that he's carrying with all the ammunition, mingles with the other kids on his way out, and then is caught several blocks away. That's a thinking person. That's not an insane person. Okay. So he is diagnosed with 3 different issues: autism, ADHD, and depression. I don't know anything about autism. It's something that is a very huge, huge subject. And I mean, there's an autism scale, and all I know is that Asperger's syndrome is pretty much a high functioning autistic person. Now, unfortunately, like I said, I don't know anything about it. So I'm not going to be able to talk much about autism. I don't know, number one, anything about it. Number two, I don't know where on the scale he was diagnosed at. And number three, I don't know who diagnosed him. So, it was something that was spit out in one news article, but there was no source. And all the other guys picked it up. So I'll mention it because they did. ADHD, that is something that Nicholas probably had as a young child, and as he grew older, it stayed with him, kind of like bipolar does. Schizophrenic usually kicks in, when you're a little older, so it's not like a childhood thing, usually. But hey, everybody's different. Okay, and then he also had depression, obviously, since his mother passed away on November 1st. So Nicholas has a younger brother, Zachary, and we know they were both adopted, but I don't know at what age they were adopted. I've talked to you about Nicholas's his mental health issues, um, but for some reason he was being treated most of his life. But for some reason, sometime in late January or February of 2017, he stopped treatment, and I haven't been able to find out why he stopped treatment. But at any rate, he was being treated for his issues. The New York Times dug into the Broward County school district's disciplinary file on Nikolas, and learned that he has a long history of fighting with teachers, disrespecting customers, disrespecting teachers, other staff, other students. Um, and there was also a period where the Florida Department of Children and Families opened up a file on him. They had received calls that Nikolas had placed photos of his cut and bleeding arms on Snapchat, the fact that he expressed interest in buying a weapon, uh, and other issues. And so they gave them a call. And so they, of course, have to investigate every call they get. So they go to the family house. Part of the report also talks about how Nikolas was encouraged or even almost forced to break up with his girlfriend. According to Mr. Cruz's mom and the mother of the girlfriend, the relationship was abusive. And they said, both parents were like, look, you're going to have to break up. This isn't healthy for any of you. And so that was also something that the social worker looked in on. Now, we know now, explained to you his long disciplinary uh, record with Broward County. The straw that broke the camel's back, as far as him being expelled from high school, was the girlfriend gets a new boyfriend. And Nikolas, seeing this and not being in treatment and not really knowing how to uh, effectively manage his feelings of anger, jealousy, or whatever else he felt, picked a fight with the boyfriend. And that was the last straw. He was cut out. He was expelled then uh, from the school. The problem was that nobody got back in touch with the social worker at the Florida Department of Families and Children and Families. So the file remained closed. As kind of a side note, he was 17. He was aging out of the system, so maybe the social worker thought that he would just age out and he wouldn't be her problem anymore. That's just my opinion. Excuse me. Okay. We also know that during high school, Nikolas was he did have some good points. Not many, but they were there. Again, the students pretty much stayed away from him because they realized that he was different and disturbed, and they just didn't want anything to do with him. But he did join the junior ROTC at his high school, and seemed to have enjoyed it very much. In fact, in school, he was awarded several awards from the junior ROTC, and even got one for academic achievement for getting A's and B's. So he's not a stupid kid. He's just badly broken. Now, there was a student, Brandon Minoff, who is a senior in high school right now, and he talked about being paired up with Cruz. I don't know if it was as part of the JROTC or if it was part of a peer counseling project, but they were paired up, and they eventually began a relationship where they both could talk to each other. And Brandon managed to quote, he told me how he got kicked out of 2 private schools. He was held back twice. He had aspirations to join the military, and he enjoyed hunting. Well, the ADHD kind of contributes right into that. Those poor kids, if they're not treated properly with the proper medication, not that I'm advocating throwing pills at children, please don't, that's not what I mean. I'm talking not only medication, but counseling, cognitive behavioral therapy, anything that could help this child. Uh, but unfortunately, he managed to get himself, like Brandon said, kicked out of 2 schools. He was held back twice. He just had a miserable school life. Now the hunting part, don't know much about that. I've been told that I've been told that he um, tortured animals to death. I haven't been able to confirm that, and maybe that was his method of hunting. Who knows? Okay, so that's all I'll say about that part. Um, so mom, now his adoptive father died about 10 years ago, so he's been out of the picture for a while. And Nicholas and his mother became very, very close. And not only was she his parent, but I have an idea that she was pretty much the only friend that he had. And, moms understand us in ways that no one else does. But that's not to say that the relationship was always smooth sailing. Um, Again, the Florida Department of Families and Children opened up a file on him to investigate uh, his photographs of cutting, of being abusive to his girlfriend, that kind of thing. Local police had been called to Cruz's home in the last 7 years. They were called to his home 39 times. And I'm here to tell you that I work very hard to keep my home very stress free. So I can count on one hand the number of police officers that came to my house on purpose over the last 15 years. So that's a lot of business for that address. And although we don't know exactly why those police officers were there, they're basically, different ideas as far as why they were there. So they've written down mentally ill person, child elderly abuse, domestic disturbance, and missing person. So all that can kind of fit in with someone with a severe case of ADHD or ADHD without treatment. Now, the thing is, and the thing that really bothers me is the people that should have protected us didn't. Now, the police officers aren't completely to blame. They're there as a reactive, uh, calming entity. They don't arrest people for something they might do, it's for what they've done. The social workers at the Florida Department of Children and Families, they are so overloaded with cases, and their burnout rate is so high, you know, that I have a sneaking suspicion, and this is only my opinion. It doesn't matter, this is me. This is not something I'm saying is true, but in my opinion, I think sometimes these social workers get these cases, and the closer they are to aging out of the system, probably the less attention they get because they just have so many other things they've got to see to. Um, that's just my opinion. Okay, so Florida Department of Children and Families, they close the file, they never open it up. Um, what amazes me is the FBI. Now, in this day and age, someone in Africa, say Kenya, can post something to Snapchat or Twitter or whatever, and seconds later, someone in Beijing, China, or Australia knows exactly what's going on in their friend in Kenya's life. I mean, it's just so bloody fast and amazing. What I don't understand is if we have that technology, why didn't the FBI have something like this? Why don't our government alphabet soups and our government offices talk to each other when they're doing background checks? When someone's been dishonorably discharged and is applying for a weapon, they don't have the whole situation. They don't have the whole story. So I don't understand this. Apparently, what happened with the FBI was because of uh, Nikolas's behavior and several posts that he'd written on YouTube that, one was, I want to be a professional shooter. Uh, what was the other? I'm looking in my notes here. Another uh, quote is, I want to shoot people with my AR-15. I want to die fighting, killing shit ton of people. I'm going to kill law enforcement one day. They go after the good people. So those are quotes from him on social media, which is to you and me and other thinking people, that's a red freaking flag, man. And so someone actually did call the FBI and say, look, you need to check this guy out. He's got this AR-15 that, and I've read you the quotes and everything. Well, they call the FBI hotline, which was basically a clearinghouse for messages, right? They look at what the tip that's come in, they decide how to handle it. According to the FBI, 2 days after the shooting, the FBI confessed that they never received that message in their Miami field office, which is the office that would have interviewed Nikolas, and they would have probably taken the weapon away from him, having investigated his different mental health issues, things like that. And they dropped the ball. Great. Dozens, hundreds of people are affected by the very people that were supposed to have protected us. It's a head scratcher. It really is. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Anyway, so we've had 3 entities drop the ball on us from one, and the FBI has the most egg on its face. And I'll just never understand that. And the sad thing is, we'll never know why. We'll never know exactly why he did this. Okay, now I told you that his adoptive mother died of the flu and pneumonia on November 1st, 2017. Of course, that's going to send anybody losing a parent or losing anybody very close, it's going to send you into a depression. He and his brother had nowhere to go. Their mom is gone, his friend, So there's another family called the Duchamps, and they were friends of the Cruz family. When mom died, the Duchamps said, look, come live with us. Bring the stuff from your house and, settle in here and we'll get you straightened out. Excuse me a second. Okay, so they do. Now, I don't know how and when Nikolas got hold of that AR-15, and I don't know why his mom allowed it, and I don't know why she even thought that would be an idea. But apparently this kid loved firearms of, the AR-15, and he had pellet guns and all kinds of stuff. Well, apparently the Duchamps, and they're good people, and I'm not knocking them for anything. All they wanted to do was give 2 boys a home that needed it, right? They're good people. But like most people in the public, they don't understand how badly a mental illness can go wrong. They just didn't understand how deeply disturbed Nikolas was. And of course, Nikolas is not going to let them know, he's not stupid. He's just broken. So he's going to let them know only what they need to know. And for some reason, they never knew, it seemed like they never knew he was in treatment and for what for. And it's probably something his mom kept quiet because there's a stigma against mental health, right? It's embarrassing for some people. The morning of the shooting, apparently the Duchamps did not know anything any different. It was Valentine's Day. The father normally gave Nikolas a ride from the house to his job or his school, and then he would go on to work. And in the morning, it wasn't much different. The father wakes Nikolas up. Nikolas says, I don't work on Valentine's Day. Turns over, goes back to sleep, and then the father goes right on to work. We'll deal with it later. They're teenagers. They slack off. They don't get enough sleep. They stay up too late. They're teenagers, But unfortunately, they didn't know the extent of his issues. Now, this is kind of scary because according to Facebook posts, like I've mentioned before, uh, it could probably be safely assumed that Nikolas was a white supremacist. He made posts stating that he hated Muslims and he hated blacks. Uh, and I told you the quote about killing a shit ton of people and all that. Earlier last year, Mrs. Cruz caught Nikolas with a swastika, a huge swastika on his book bag, and made him take it off. Cruz said, "Well, I don't know what it means. I just thought it looked neat, whatever." But apparently his mother didn't take it too seriously, or, there's very little you can do to control someone who's, a grown man. Essentially, he's going to be 18. Um, so at any rate, I don't know. That was his character. So Nikolas is depressed, and that's out of control. He's got ADHD, and that's out of control. And so he goes to the school, commits that atrocious crime, and then sneaks out of school, only to be caught several blocks away. This is much information as I have. I know he's had a couple of court appearances so far. I'm not really sure what's going to happen with him. I don't know if they're going to take the death penalty off. There was rumors of him pleading guilty so they could take the death penalty off the table. I don't know. I'm just sorry I couldn't answer your main question, which is why. And I don't think anybody's going to be able to answer that question. Anyway, thank you for watching. I hope you have a great day and take care of yourselves. And oh, incidentally, if you need any help or any information, ask questions, in the comment section. I do have my Suicide Lifeline information, some information on veterans, and anything else I think is pertinent to mental health down below. Again, you guys take care and have a great day. Bye.